At long last, the 11-year wait is over. College Football 25 is out now. What does this mean for NC State?
You are Locked On Wolfpack, your daily podcast on the NC State Wolfpack, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Wolfpack Nation? It's time to get locked in with Locked On. Thanks for making Locked On Wolfpack your first listen each and every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms, as always, apply. Happy Monday to all. As always, I'm Grayson Boone, joined by former Wolfpack defensive tackle Kenton Gibbs. It's a great Monday. It is one of the best Mondays we've had in quite some time around here. The College Football 25 video game is now out. At least the deluxe version is. The early release for everyone that decided to ramp it up a couple bones and buy the early release, that is now out on Monday. Let me tell you, it is incredible. It has been a very long, extenuous wait, but playing it this afternoon, it was fully worth it.
Let me tell you something, okay? Some people call me Kenton Gibbs. Some people know me by my nickname, DT number 96 from East Detroit, which was crazy, by the way, because I am not from the east side of Detroit. No disrespect to East Siders. I'm just not from there. But, yeah, that's how long this game has not been out. I was a true freshman when the last version of this game released, and so it's very exciting to see this back. It is extremely good to have this going on. And I'll tell you what, NC State on this game, it almost feels like a cheat code sometimes playing with State. It really does. And some of these guys have some ratings that I'm just like, oh, I haven't even started my NC State quote unquote rebuild yet because it'd be too easy. It'd literally be too easy.
What a year for this game to actually come back when NC State has possibly their best roster ever assembled. Offense is absolutely electric. Exactly what you thought it would be. Waters in the backfield, dynamic running back. You can air it out wide. Wesley Grimes, Noah Rogers. Jakari Collins had a couple nice catches for me. And you got Grayson McCall as your trigger man. It's an explosive offense. It makes you a little bit more excited to put the actual football down in late August. But if this is all we got to pass the time between now and then, we're going to have a lot of fun in doing so. But Kenton, I want to start getting into our overall impressions of how NC State looks in the game. We'll start with presentation, and then we'll get into ratings here in a couple of minutes. But the team intro when you're playing a game at Carter Finley, what are your thoughts there?
Oh, it's dope. It's dope. It is very close to what NC State does. I mean, obviously, there's no way to properly encapsulate the alpha wolf part of it because it's like, that's yeah. Who would you get to be the celebrities and but they have to be the same people for forever. But it's a really good presentation. Running out, touching the wolf, it means everything, man. It means so much to have that tradition and to have that ability to see that in the game again after all this time. You know what I mean? To be able to hear the cannons go off after touchdowns after all this time. Wow, what a time.
I would imagine a lot of former players like yourself, it really does mean something to see NC State represented like this because it's been 11 years since the last time. And a lot of players didn't ever get the chance to see themselves in this game. So it has to be an extremely cool moment for the current players to see themselves walk onto the field and all the former players of years past to know what that feels like. But for someone like me who's been in the stands probably a couple hundred times, it is about as close as you can possibly get to a game day at Carter Finley. I mean, every last detail they seemingly nailed. They got the crowd chants right. The first down, move the chains is in there. You got Wolf on one side, Pack on the other. You got the pyrotechnics as they're running out. They got the Fury Wolf coming out of the tunnel. Small detail, but I personally love it. The covering of the tunnel has the same one pack, one goal on it. Awesome. The red markings, once you get into the red zone, or hashtag one pack, one goal on the side. It's the little things, man. And they absolutely nailed it in this game. So that was quite a delight to see. They get every single detail right, basically as far as they could. As far as ratings, Kenton, I know you have several thoughts on here. What are some ratings that maybe surprised you? Maybe some higher than you expected, lower than you expected? Where do you stand on these?
A rating that was higher than I expected is Lex Thomas. And he has three of the special abilities. And listen, don't get me wrong, far be it for me to ever doubt the Thomas family, because I really do think Lex is a very good quarterback. And he really is a guy that I would not be shocked at all if someone was like, hey Ken, there's a world where Lex Thomas leads NC State to greatness. I wouldn't be shocked by that. But to see that he has a rating as high as, I believe he's a 73, 74, something like that. And I'm like, man, that ain't bad. That ain't bad at all. And the other one that I would say is very interesting is CJ Bailey's rating. That's why I said I am not using NC State's rebuild just yet, because it'd be too easy, because you transition from Grayson McCall to CJ Bailey. Like that's, and mind you, Grayson and I have talked about this on air, but like the game also recognizes all of the receivers and whatnot are extremely young. All of them are coming back. All of them are going to be there for multiple years. And it's just like, this ain't really going to be fair for the rest of the game for a little bit here, because it's just going to be, wop, 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 wop. Every time you look up, new deep balls flowing out of the Carter there. So, this seeing CJ Bailey have as high as a rating that he has was pretty good there. Seeing Davin Van be as low as he was a little shocking to me, because in my mind, I'm like, this is a guy who does everything well. There is nothing that I would look at him and say, oh my God, he does this thing, that thing extremely poorly. And one last one, Red Hibbler. They made Red Hibbler's rating like just toilet water. I'm like, did you watch the man play? I could understand if they would have gave him a low block shedding rate or something like that, to say like, oh, he's not as good against the run. Because while I don't think that he is bad against the run, I don't think that he's had enough meaningful reps against it in game to say what he is or is not. That young man flies off the edge. He flies off the edge. There is no, oh man, like you might be able to stay in front of him. If he gets a good jump, this Katie Did's at the doorstep. Your quarterback is going down. He's going to be talking to Tommy Turf very shortly. So to see that he had as low of a rating as he did was just like, especially in the speed and acceleration department, where if you were to tell me which defensive lineman has the highest rating in those two areas, I'd say it's him all day. Because functionally, from what I have seen, there have been multiple plays where it just looks like he shot out of a cannon straight into the backfield.
A couple of the ratings that caught my eye because I think they're spot on. Grayson McCall is actually one of them. He's an 88 overall, just a very functional quarterback for this type of game. Great arm, great accuracy, can move around the pocket at a decent rate. I thought an 88 was very appropriate for him. Jordan Waters is an 84. I thought that was maybe a touch low, but I think he plays much better than just an 84. I was able to wiggle all over the field with him. So I'll be looking forward to dominating a couple defenses or two with the use of Jordan Waters. What you said about the wide receivers, I think is spot on. And some of these may sound low, but I think based on their body of work that you've seen in college, they sound pretty appropriate. For example, Noah Rogers is a 79, but the kid's never played at the college level before. So it's like, how do you effectively evaluate that? I don't exactly have the answer for you, but I think a 79 is a really good starting point for Noah Rogers.
79 with 4 years of eligibility left too.
Even better. And another thing to note, a lot of these ratings will more than likely fluctuate as the developers will kind of do edits over the course of a season. But I think a 79 is a really good starting point for Noah Rogers. Kevin Concepcion is an 89. I think that's maybe a couple ticks low. However, he felt really fast in this game, faster than I expected him to be. So that's nothing but a good thing for NC State fans. Wesley Grimes is 74, Takari Collins is 77, and then some of your freshman guys, Christian Zachary, Keenan Jackson, and Terrell Anderson, 63, 67, and 73, respectively. Jumping over to the offensive line, two more I think they absolutely nailed. Anthony Belton at an 87 and Zeke Correll at an 84. They are going to be leaders on our offensive line, and I think their ratings reflect that early on in this first update. Defensively, you touched on Red Hibbler, just a 75, that's low. That is low. The amount of disruption that man causes on the field is way higher than a 75. So another one I think will probably get edited later on. Davin Van's an 85. Brandon Cleveland's an 80. I think that one is well earned. The linebackers, Caden Fordham is an 80. Devon Betty's a 74. Sean Brown's a 79. new to the linebacking position, but still receives a 79. I think that's pretty impressive. Getting into the secondary, Devin Boykin's an 86. Aiden White is an 88. Are you surprised that Aiden White is lower than a 90?
I am a little bit. Like, I'm not from the standpoint of we saw the top 100 ratings and the lowest of that was not a 90 and he was not on that list, but I'm still shocked that he's not a 90. I'm still the body of work that he's put together in college, even if you say, well, his game won't translate to the NFL, which, surprise, surprise, it will. It surely will. But anyway, even if you said his game won't translate to the NFL and all that good stuff, that's still a young man that the body of work that he's put together in college has shown to be something pretty special. So, I mean, I don't get him not being a 90, but whatever.
A couple gripes here and there, but all in all, I think they did a very good job with assessing NC State's roster. They're still missing some players. Some players will see some edits, but as of now, I think NC State got a very generous ratings as a whole. We're ranked in the game. We're the 22nd ranked team, and it only go up from there. So very impressive for what we see for NC State in this game so far. Coming up next, we're getting into the big picture. Why does this game coming back out matter to college football? We have some thoughts on this after a quick word from our sponsors. Today's Monday sponsor is eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience, that's the formula for winning championships. But it's also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors is everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. From superchargers to roof racks, exhaust kits, and LED headlights, whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay's Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. That's because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber and not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. Middle portion of our Monday show, now getting into bigger picture of why this video game, College Football 25, matters to the college football community. Across the country, players are now loving seeing themselves represented in a video game. It's been 11 long years since that was a reality, but even before that, their actual likenesses are in this game, and they're being compensated for it. Kenton, as a former player, how much do you think that matters to these current players, being able to see themselves actually represented on the college football platform?
Oh, it matters a ton. It matters a ton. You don't have to wait for that unfortunate guy who's pledging some fraternity who has to create every single name from the fourth string tight end at Texas State all the way up to Quinshawn Judkins or Grayson McCall. You don't have to wait for that anymore. It's available right away. And these guys are supposed to look like you. They're supposed to play like you. They're supposed to perform like you. They're openly declaring this is you. They're openly saying, hey, Noah Rogers, this you, like that's happening. It's the first positive this you that has happened in the last 8 years. What a time. So with that in mind, I mean, it really does mean a lot for these guys to have the ability to see themselves on this game, to play with themselves in terms of, make big plays, do all the things, go to the playoff, whatever the case may be. It's a really big deal. And it also further solidifies the release of this game. Solidifies how much people love college football. A lot of folks say, oh, it's not the same game anymore. And, all the players and the movement and the portal doesn't matter. Put the ball down, put the jerseys on. People are going to watch it.
It's not a crazy thing to say this and believe it. The release of this game kind of reignites a love of college football across the country. Sure, we're still a month out from the actual season kicking off, but being able to associate yourself with all these players on, I think it's like 134 different teams around the country. Every single stadium's unique. Every single run out is unique. The players and their abilities are supposed to match how they are in real life. The teams have rankings. NC State, for example, is ranked in this game. They're number 22. That kind of stuff matters. And we talk a lot about brand recognition on this game. Younger kids, teenagers, high school kids, even kids in college, because NC State is a quote-unquote good team in this game, they're going to use NC State as the team they're going to play with. And they're going to get associated with Grayson McCall and Noah Rogers and Kevin Concepcion. People across the country know who Kevin Concepcion is because of what he did on the field last year. They're going to remember that and say, oh, NC State has this electric young wide receiver. I would love to use him in a game. Those are legitimate scenarios that will happen. And then linking that into brand recognition, perhaps when you're on the recruiting trail and recruits, for example, they love playing with NC State. They love seeing what the Carter Finley atmosphere is like. They love playing, the NC State playbook, the overall play style. They get assimilated with that type of thing. Perhaps this sounds like a stretch, but I promise you it's not. These are real life scenarios that matter just from a video game. I know that sounds crazy, but it's a real thing. People are going to be so associated with NC State and learn so much about these players that when the season actually kicks off in real life, everyone has a ton of knowledge that they're entering the season in. And in some ways, it almost makes you a better fan. My personal opinion, but I do believe that to be true. I think the re-release of this game and the hype surrounding it around the country, it will kind of make you a better fan, at least a more well-informed fan. The rosters of all these other teams, for example, when we play Tennessee and Charlotte, we're probably all going to know their entire offense by name because we're going to be trying to stop them as NC State in this game. So the representation of these players, it's a real thing that matters once fall actually rolls around. They play real football.
And another fun fact about NC State and how good they are in this game, there's a young man by the name of Nick Harbor who currently plays at South Carolina. He's about 6'5", 235. He has 99 speed, 99 acceleration. He's the strongest wide receiver on the game as well. I'm just saying, I'm about 8 weeks in, and South Carolina's performing poorly. Hey, listen, if that happens in my NC State rebuild as well, Mr. Harbor, I'm seeing some pack in your future. No, but in all seriousness, it really is fun just to kind of have that moment of NC State being in this game at the right moment to where it's not when NC State is at their absolute lowest that you get this team back in there and you're like, oh, my God, there's no way. Not doing it. No, I'm not touching that team with a 10-foot pole. You've got explosive players offensively. You've got defensive players that can do very, very spectacular things in terms of Aiden White following around the other team's best receivers and whatnot. And the 3-3-5 is a really hard defense to kind of game plan for on that game. So, yeah, it's all in all, man. This is what a time to be alive. What a time to see all these things coming to fruition right now.
And another facet I want to talk about is the interaction between player and fan. And I saw that Justin Jolie was all over Twitter on Monday asking for the smoke from anyone that wants it. Assuming that Justin Jolie will follow through on that, he actually will play with probably dozens of NC State fans online. How cool is that? Fans actually be involved with players on the team and share this love for the game. It's just another way through NIL that the dynamic between player and fan has really changed so much. And I know One Pack NIL does a tremendous job of finding new opportunities, whether it's, a meet and greet or Meet the Pack Day or an event out at like a brewery or just little contests like that. So the players become more than just a player on the field, but you actually get to know the person as well. And being able to play against some of your favorite players on a video game, it's just such a cool opportunity for young NC State fans growing up. And it's not only limited to NC State, of course, that goes for any team across the country, but that new dynamic between player and fan is fascinating to me. I saw Devon Betty was also already getting busy online and streaming his game that he played earlier today. It's just so cool to see all these players and how excited they are for the game, especially because they're the ones that are actually in it.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. These guys are excited to have this game back. We're excited to have this game back. This is a release unlike anything I've ever seen in my, I want to say 20 plus years of gaming, probably more than that. I'm 29 now, so probably like 25 years of gaming. I've never seen this much hype around the release. The closest thing that I guess would be it was Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, and that was quite some time ago, and that was because we were kids and it was a game you got to do bad things on and your parents didn't know. Like, this is a very, very different situation. Everybody's having a good time. This is family friendly. Everybody's enjoying it. This is a great time.
I think aside from just having the game back itself, the coolest thing to me has been the hype surrounding this game, and it transcends basically everyone. You don't have to be an intense gamer to see how much this means to a lot of people across the country, and the various memes all over Twitter, all of which have been very funny about how they're going to do whatever it takes to get a certain recruit to come to your school, breaking violations, texting recruits, all the 9 yards. It's just such a cool new dynamic to the game and the ever-changing landscape of college football, adding in this new facet that's purely fun. I mean, there's really no downside to this at all. It's purely fun and gets everyone excited about college football in itself. It just feels like an ultimate win for all parties involved. So sure, it's just a video game. Maybe some people take it too far than it needs to be, but these type of interactions matter now in the college football world, whether it's recruiting, brand recognition, school spirit. I mean, just repping your brand. You can do it all online whenever you want to. So it's such a massive win for the college football community to get this game back. And at the level of which it's produced at, it's nearly a perfect game. Sure, you have little gripes here and there, but it's purely incredible. Could not be happier with how this turned out.
Yeah, no doubt about it. This is, like I said, this is just a great time for all parties involved. You don't have to be a deep college football fan. You don't have to be a deep gaming fan. You could be a casual of both, and you could recognize the magnitude of this moment.
Coming up next, we're going to wrap our Monday episode talking about little things that we would change that we've noticed so far in College Football 25. After a quick word from our sponsors. Last couple minutes of our Monday show. Now closing out with things we would change so far about College Football 25. Kenton, I'll let you start. What would you change that you've noticed?
The jerseys, the uniform combinations.
I'm glad you mentioned this.
What I get it, because I know they're going to do it exactly how they did it in 14. I would just ask that they do it exactly how they did it in 14. Keep it free. Do not make us pay premium for those jerseys. Do not, because I'm not going to do it. I'll tell you right now. I'm going to leave that game. I'm going to leave it bare bones as is. Looks like we're rocking the all red again, boys. Looks like there's no diamond helmet for us. That's just what it's going to be, okay? But in all seriousness, the jerseys are they're a little funny looking. And you told me about something I didn't even notice, but going back and looking at it now, the numbers being kind of big is on the back is not ideal. But those two things, and also some of the players not being in it, that update with Jonathan Paylor on it will feed generations, ladies and gentlemen. It will feed generations because I need it in my life.
Yeah, I share your sentiment about the jerseys. They just seem slightly off. The size and the lettering of the font on the back of NC State's jerseys, they just seem a little bit off. And I know that's an extremely small gripe to have, but when this game is based on realism and some of us are so excited to see it, you can't help but notice that it looks just a little bit different than how you thought it would. That second point about players missing. So as I mentioned, the rosters are going to continue to be patched as this goes along. But if you're starting a season with NC State now, you don't have Jonathan Paylor on your roster. And that could be a little bit disappointing for everyone that was so excited to use such an electric player. But eventually I have to imagine he will find himself in the game. So that's a small thing. Another really small thing, and some folks may scoff at this, Mr. Wolf is not in the game. I was very surprised to see our mascot not be represented in this game. And I remember EA Sports released it that I think they only had like 50 mascots make the game. That seems a little disappointing to me. I feel like that's more than likely going to be in another update later to come. I feel like there's no reason you can't have all 134 of them if they do have an actual mascot. But not seeing Mr. Wolf in the game was a little bit disappointing. And then last one for me, again, very small detail, but it's something that Kent and I had talked about. They don't have Duke Deuce on third downs. I was kind of hoping, I didn't really expect them to include that, but I think that would be a very cool detail. And something I did notice, though, and as far as like the band playing, they had that nailed. I think first downs, they got it right. Third downs, they got it right. Obviously, the fight song, they got it right. The band sounds incredible based on how it's actually going at Carter Finley Stadium. So that was a cool detail. But I saw they have Mo Bamba in the game. I know Penn State utilizes that early in their games up in Happy Valley. That's a really cool detail. I know Sandstorm is in the game for South Carolina fans as they wave their towels before that game starts. So some schools have their I guess, official song. I know Enter Sandman did not make it for Virginia Tech. I hear that licensing is extremely expensive these days. Maybe Duke Deuce has a very high price. That's why we didn't get Crunk Ain't Dead on third downs in there. Maybe we will at some point, but just very small details because it kind of brings you back to the overall point. They crushed this game. They did such an amazing job that really there's not a whole lot you can complain about. And the things that we will complain about are things that they're going to fix later on down the road. So just goes to show what an incredible job they did in this game and could not be happier with the outcome. And it's such an amazing day, such an amazing time to be a college football fan again. Absolutely,
man. This is one of those moments where you sit up here and you say, we are blessed and highly favored to be alive for certain moments, right? A lot of people joke about millennials and Gen Z living in unprecedented time after unprecedented time, but this is one of the very positive moments that we can all sit back and kind of enjoy this thing together, because, the enjoyment of this game spans pretty much every demographic. There is no group of people who are left, saddened by this, except for non-gamers who are waiting for their partners who do enjoy this game to get off, which, by the way, ain't happening. Sorry, honey. It's just not going to be a case, but it's a really great time.
That'll do it for us here on Monday. A programming note for you, though. We are back. That means Kent and I are back every day. We're back to our regular 5 days a week schedule that is effective immediately. However, this week we will go 5 evening releases. So just putting that out there. We will have 5 episodes this week, but they will be released in the evening. After this week, once we get into next week, we'll go back to our regular 5-day-a-week morning release. But for everyone that has been waiting for us to go back to 5 days a week, today is the day. This is the week. We're back at 5 days a week. That'll do it for us here on Monday. Thank you all so much for joining us. If you have College Football 25, let us know in the comments. Maybe you can play against the two of us someday. I think that'd be pretty cool. We can get involved with all of our listeners. That'd be a really fun way to celebrate the game as well. But however you're celebrating this game, let us know down in the comments. Let us know what you think about the presentation overall, some things that you feel like are missing, some things that you hope that'll be changed. Anything else you have on your mind, drop it down in the comment box. And if you have not already, mash that subscribe button. We will see you all tomorrow on Tuesday. And until then, go Pack.
Go Pack.